Testing. Welcome everyone to the school committee meeting. We will call this to order at 5:38 p.m. on Monday, June 15th, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. We will start member introductions with Councilor Harriman.
Scott Harriman, City Council Representative to the School Committee.
Megan Hurd, Ward 6. Julia Harper, Ward 4.
Elizabeth Eames, Ward 3.
Janet Bowden, Ward 2.
Luke Jensen at large.
Phoenix McLaughlin, Ward 1.
Jake Langley, Superintendent.
Karen Paquette, Assistant Superintendent.
Next on our agenda is the consent agenda. Transactions, minutes, and personnel. Are there any items that members would like to see set aside? Okay.
There was just one
Yes.
thing that Member Harper brought up earlier today, a correction for the adjourn motion. We had accidentally recorded that Member Jensen made that second, and it was actually Member Gallant. So we've made that correction, if it's okay with the committee.
Yes, thank you for that reminder and for that correction. Any objections to that? Okay, the consent agenda is adopted. Item number 4 is public input. Members of the public may address the school committee for up to 3 minutes on non-agenda items now and on agenda items later. Speakers must adhere to our public comment policy, BEDH, which is available in the back of the room or on the LPS website. These meetings exist to conduct school committee business. The purpose of public comment is to share thoughts on school and educational matters. Committee members and school staff will not reply during this time. Comments must be directed to the chair and be civil. By law, comments may not pertain to specific staff or students. Comments about individuals must be directed privately to the appropriate LPS staff. Student privacy must be maintained. The public comment period is 30 minutes unless extended due to unusual circumstances. Priority goes to Lewiston residents and parents, students, or employees of LPS. Before starting, please state your name, town or city of residence, and affiliation to LPS. Is there anyone here who would like to give public comment? Okay. Seeing none, we will continue on then to item number 5, which is to receive Lewiston Public Schools recognition. And I will turn it over to the superintendent.
Tonight, we're going to start with a recognition around the seal of biliteracy, which has been earned by numerous students. And could Director McElmore come up to assist?
I would just
Liza McLemore being called from the podium.
She was helping organize those who could make it and those who could not, so we can pass out certificates. Before we do that, Liza, would you mind sharing a little bit, you or Rachel, about the seal of biliteracy and its importance?
Sure. So the Seal of Biliteracy is issued through the Maine Department of Education. It's issued to graduating seniors who demonstrate proficiency in both English and another language. They're able to, it's an opt-in sort of award. They have to take an assessment to demonstrate their proficiency in a language other than English. They can do it in more than one. We actually have a few students who earned 2 seals of biliteracy this year, which is pretty exciting. And there's lots of pieces that go with it that benefit students beyond just the certificate. Rachel, do you want to speak a little bit to that?
So when the students receive the award, it also gets noted on their transcript and it says the language and the proficiency level. And they can take that to the college that they are accepted to, and they will, depending on the university, the specific school, they give them credits for that, college credits.
So do you have a sense of who was able to make it tonight at this point?
I do.
All right.
So this year we had 29 different students earning their seal, but we issued 32 seals total, which is more than we have ever issued before. Last year we issued 30. Our goal this year was to make sure we got more than last year. And shout out to some of my team members at the multilingual department, as well as Rachel's team at the high school. And John, we were pretty relentless in making sure that we were breaking that number from last year. We invited them all to come join us to be recognized in front of you, but only a few are here tonight, but I can call them up if, perfect. So I have Alan Quizera. Beatrice Baile. Bile. Rosemary Dos Santos. Aisha Ibrahim. I have Siloy Irumva, and Dad's here representing, I believe. And Joanna Almeida. Dad's here representing Joanna. And Lucane Alvarez.
Great job, everyone. And I think we have some more recognitions as well.
We do have some additional recognitions tonight. We have a number of folks who are retiring this year, and these are folks that have given their lives to education and to our schools and our kids. And we would like to take the opportunity to recognize them. If we could start with McMahon, if you would mind coming up to share some of the recognition we have.
You can sit. So I'm Charlotte Johnson, principal at McMahon, and I'm here with my assistant principal, Jeff Ramish, and then we're here recognizing Kristen Chacoin tonight. And Kristen Chacoin is retiring after 27 years of working for LPS. She started as a one-to-one at Farwell, and she was there for 2 years, and then she's finishing out her career as a BHP in day treatment. So she did 25 years as a BHP in our day treatment classrooms, and I don't think I'll ever be able to say that again. So I would say that it's probably one of the hardest positions that we have in our district. And Kristen has been there through every up and down, and there's been many. I've only been there for 5 years, and we've seen a lot of changes in that wing. We went from 5 classrooms to 3, and now we're at 1. And she has been there. Like it is emotional because like it's a lot of hard work. She's been there every step of the way and given her heart to her students, the staff, her team, McMahon. And so we're so sad to see her go, but so very thankful for her hard work that she's given to us and our students. So before I
Thank you, congratulations.
And Montello. Montello has a couple of folks retiring, so Tiffany will come up to say a few words about that.
Good evening. I have a couple folks with me, so I'll start one at a time. Richard LaFrance, he's actually bled blue before he joined us as staff, so I believe you're an LHS alumnus, if I'm correct about that.
Certainly, yeah.
And he grew up here, and you know, it's really fortunate. We are very fortunate that he's been able to come back in a different role. He's actually worked as a custodian and then came to Montello. He was actually just talking about right when COVID hit. So quite an experience coming in to a role in the special education classroom at that time. But, you know, Richard is the kind of person who steps up wherever is needed. You know, he has a really big heart for others. He in all of his years, he's really just been a steady presence. And, you know, he has a gift of really bringing people together. He's really witty. We were just actually talking about these are two of the most observant people I know, which brings for a great sense of humor, which you need for Montello School. So in true Lewiston fashion, he brings a love for sports onto our campus. We are hoping that he has many sunny days at Apple Valley, plenty of Red Sox victories, hopefully, good music, and the freedom to do exactly what he needs most. And we're very thankful after the years of dedicated service to Lewiston that we're saying congratulations for retirement. This is very well earned, and you can trade your schedules and alarmed for tea times, baseball games, and new adventures. So congratulations on your retirement, Richard. We're glad to have you here. Do you want to do one at a time? Okay. Okay. We also have the privilege of recognizing Mary Gagnon. So Mary Gagnon she had a journey that began at the university in Korea. She earned her master's degree in ESL, returned to the States to support multilingual learners at the high school and college levels. She's worked in middle school language arts, basically reading everywhere. And we were lucky that she came to Montello, which she says was her dream job, and has been here at Montello for 11 years, dedicating herself to the work she always hoped to do, really building confident readers and learners. So one of the things I love about Mary, she brings an infectious curiosity, brings all of her passions to the workplace. She is, again, observant. She notices a lot of things about people, listens to people in a unique way. I have a pair of dinosaur earrings that she gifted to me because she knows I have an appreciation for dinosaurs and from anything from gardening to beekeeping and science. She just uses small gestures to really speak to people and build community at her school. So she's somebody who pays attention, remembers what matters to you, and finds ways to brighten your day. So as she begins her well-earned retirement, we thank her not only for her incredible work as a reading specialist, but the kindness and friendship she's shared with all of us. Both of these individuals will be deeply missed, but Montello has, with record time of, I think, 6 months before retirees come back to join us in some sort of capacity. So we're hoping to see both of these individuals soon, but thank you for all of your hard work, Mary.
And next up, we have Geiger Elementary School, who has retired.
Good evening. I'm Cindy Gish. I'm the principal at Geiger, and I have my assistant principals, Michelle Dunham and Christy Ellis here with me tonight to recognize Jane Carver. So hopefully I can get through this. I had to write it, and I'm not usually a writer. I usually wing it, but this one I can't because I would cry. If you know Jane Carver and have had the privilege of working with her, then you know that it's pretty easy to get up here and say positive, kind things about her. The challenge is to articulate that in a way that people understand just how amazing she really is. I have had the privilege of working with her for the past 12 years, the entire time that I've been at Geiger. She had put in for a transfer this summer before I started to move from the high school to Geiger. When people found out about it, they all asked, how did you get her? I was clueless as to why so many people seemed jealous about this until I got to know her and saw firsthand just how incredible she is. She's worked at Montello, at the high school, and at Geiger. She's had 41 years in education. She is the most humble person that I know. She absolutely hates being here tonight right now. but agreed to come because I begged her. And she said, I'm only going because I like you. And I said, I'll take it. She's dedicated to her students in ways that amazes me every single day. There's not a second of wasted learning time in her resource room. Her students love her, the staff love her, our families love her. She will be incredibly missed for her love of teaching, her dedication to her students, her sense of humor, her professionalism, and just for being who she is every single day. We wish her all the luck in her retirement. We know she's coming back to sub. And will be volunteering at the animal shelter. So you might see her there too. And we just want to congratulate Jane for all of her years of service in LPS.
And next up, we have Lewiston High School, Principal Radke.
So I'll call them up one by one, and we'll start with Kathy County. So Kathy, you've been with us for over 30 years, starting in 95?
94, 95.
94, 95. And one of the first things Kathy told me when I arrived 4 years ago is that I've taught everything here. And that's pretty, and that's pretty close. FLS, you've taught in social studies, unfailing commitment to kids, most recently in RISE, including at this point in your career when many teachers sort of take it a little easy, you started the robotics program. Yeah, you did. So it's going to not be the same place without you standing outside your room just down the hall from the office. And you have been an absolute blessing to the students of Lewiston, and we're so grateful.
Well, I'm grateful. Thank you, guys.
There's Patty. There you go. When did you start at Lewiston?
I started in 2005, 21 years.
21 years ago. So you've been with us for 21 years. Most recently as the multilingual coach. And what I would say is the successes that we've had with our multilingual learners at the high school is due in no small measure to Patty's efforts working with staff along the way. I know some work was done this year that was absolutely masterful, helping a teacher who is very veteran learn how to really engage with those students. And is it true that you might be around a little bit next year?
Yes, this is not the end. I will continue to contribute in a different capacity.
Very good. And we look forward to that. And thank you for your time with us at Lewiston High School.
Thank you.
Deb. No. So there are those of us who are administrators and those of us who are teachers, and then there are the people who actually make sure the school works. And Deb is absolutely one of those. Deb Cassidy has most recently served in student services as essentially the registrar. She is the keeper of all of the records, and she is also the one who makes sure we get their grades in on time and that they're correct. And if we've made a mistake, that we go to her and we humbly ask if she would be willing to change the record. So she's always been a cheerful hello when I walk through the office, a sense of humor about the work, especially when it gets stressful. And we will miss you next year. And we will hopefully we can tempt you back in some ways.
Well, at least the teachers don't run the other way when I walk.
Yeah, the teachers don't run. Yes, that's true. That's true. They don't run from you anymore. So thank you. Thank you. That's it. Also, we did have somebody who retired earlier in the year, Rachel Nadeau, who I don't believe is here tonight, but she worked with us for a number of years in special education, most recently doing co-taught science. She retired in November, so want to make sure we recognize her.
Too long.
Next up, we have Farwell.
So I have the privilege of announcing that Mel Dion and Diane Wigant are retiring this year. So I'll start with Diane. Throughout her 16 years in LPS, Diane has served many important roles, most recently as our math coach at Farwell, where she has helped to support both students and staff strengthen teaching and learning. She has served an important role in helping move our students and our school academic work forward and has consistently worked alongside teachers to support strong instructional practices. One of Diane's greatest strengths has always been her ability to build relationships, whether working directly with students, collaborating with teachers, or contributing as a member of our leadership team. Diane has always brought a positive attitude, energy, and genuine care for the people around her. She has built strong connections throughout our school community and has always been someone who is willing to support others when needed. Diane has also played an important role strengthening our overall culture of our school. Through her work with organizing and supporting our schoolhouse system, she has helped create opportunities for connection, belonging, and school pride. Education requires commitment, flexibility, and a genuine passion for helping others grow. Throughout her career, Diane has consistently demonstrated those qualities and has been a valued member of our school community in many different ways. As she begins her next chapter, we want to recognize and thank her for her time, dedication, and energy she has given to Farwell and Lewiston Public Schools. Her work has positively impacted students, families, and colleagues. Diane, on behalf of Farwell, thank you for everything you've done for our school.
Thank you. You do.
And secondly, Mel Dion. Tonight, I'd like to take a moment to recognize someone who has dedicated 22 years of service to the students and families of Farwell School and Lewiston Public Community. Over the years, Mel has taught a wide range of grades, which speaks to her flexibility and willingness to adapt wherever she is needed. Throughout her career, she has worked with countless students, helping guide them through important years of learning and growth. One thing that has always stood out about Mel is her ability to connect with her students. She has always cared deeply about children, and she works and has consistently worked to support them in the classroom. She has also brought strong skills of technology to her teaching, embracing tools and resources that have helped her students grow and learn in the classroom over the years. A career in education is never easy, and teaching requires perseverance, adaptability, and dedication. Over the course of many years at Farwell, Mel has been part of that school community and has seen many changes, and through it all, she has remained committed to the work of educating our children. As she begins the next chapter, we want to thank Mel for her time, energy, and years she has given to Lewiston Public Schools. Her contributions have been a major part of Farwell, and we appreciate the role she has been serving our students and our school community.
looking at principals, I think that's it for retirements for tonight. I'm not seeing any shocked faces, so that's a good thing. I'd like to ask Principal Bryant to come up to discuss a few different awards for or recognitions for folks at Lewiston Middle School.
Good evening. I don't have any people retiring, but I have 3 staff members that I would like to recognize and let you know about some amazing contributions they have had to Lewiston Middle School this year. I'll start with Celia Mawini. So Celia is, she is a social studies teacher. She's currently 8th grade, so next year she will loop down to be a 7th grade social studies teacher, and she's also the team leader for Team Denali. Celia applied for a grant, and she was the grant's recipients is 1 teacher from every state gets the $5,000 grant. And so she was awarded the grant. Our school was awarded the grant on behalf of Celia. It's a $5,000 grant, and it's it's to develop a project focused on the 250-year anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. And the money will cover the bus costs for each of our teams to visit the Maine State Museum when it reopens in the fall. Students will be connecting the exhibit to the principles found in the Declaration of Independence. So we're very thankful that Celia applied for this grant and very, very excited that she received it. Thank you, Celia. The next person that I would like to recognize is Allison Brooks. This is Allison. This is our first year. As you can see our t-shirts, we have the STEM plus M OG. We're the OG group, the first of its kind. And this is a year-long program for science, technology, engineering, math, plus manufacturing. And it's a program that's funded through General Dynamics in partnership with the U.S. Navy, the Department of Defense, and the Department of Education. Students get exposure for a whole year. They're with Allison every other day for an entire year. And they've been exposed to some highly sought after skills such as electronics, robotics, 3D printing, and building structures. The purpose of the program is to set our students up to be highly successful in the very much needed manufacturing fields. We know there's a shortage of these occupations. Are people ready to go into these fields? So with her support and then continuing on, this is definitely a nice platform towards the LRTC program. But if not, they have really learned so much under her advisement. So this is the first year. We're looking forward to continuing the program in years to come. And I just want to appreciate you and let you know that you stepped out of your box, your comfort zone this year. This was challenging, but she was ready to do it, ready for a change. And so it was amazing. Thank you so much.
And honestly, I had over 148 graders who motivated and made it easy.
You want to say that again?
So I'll say it again. I had over 148 graders plow through this with me to make it easy.
Yes. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Allison.
You.
And then we have Lynn Lush. So this was the first year that the middle school had a student attendance and engagement position. And Lynn is the first person who has held this position. Her main responsibility was to increase attendance and improve our engagement. In her first year in this role, she is extremely successful. So she has led us to some major improvements. Our number of truant students has decreased from 130 students last year to about 60 this year. That's over half of the students have decreased. Our percentage of chronically absent students has decreased, and our number of students with no attendance issues has increased. Lynn works really hard to make positive relationships with families and with students. She makes plans with students. She gives them alarm clocks. She has a work phone. She calls them in the morning and tells them it's time to get up and get ready to school. She goes and picks them up. I have one funny story. I found it really funny, but she was so angry. She has a plan to pick up several students, and one student she picked up just kept walking and didn't come into the building and just left. She was on her way out and went down by Kennedy Park to pick up a different kid and saw that student that she had just picked up and dropped off at school. So she came back to school to drop the student off that she had and said, "Can I please go back and get him?" I said, "Absolutely." She goes down to the park, pulls over and says, "Get in the van, you're going to school." And this was just a month or so ago. And as you can tell, she's very pregnant. So she's just a go-getter. We will miss her a lot in the fall when she's enjoying her time with her newborn, and can't wait to get her back so that we can keep this momentum going. Thank you so much, Lynn. You're welcome. Thank you very much.
And we have another one for tonight. Jen Tyner, if you wouldn't mind coming up here for a moment, but I want to read a little bit. The Lewiston Auburn Chamber of Commerce issues an award annually called Leading Through Change Award. And this award honors a chamber member or a member of the community whose leadership stood out during times of change. This individual demonstrated adaptability, resilience, and responsiveness while leading with both confidence and authenticity to support their team, organization, and community. And the note on Jen receiving this award in May, right, the 21st. Jen's leadership during times of uncertainty has been a strong example of clarity, steadiness, and compassion in action. While guiding Lewiston and Auburn adult education through a period of heightened concern related to federal immigration activity, she remained calm and focused on the needs of both students and staff. By quickly establishing clear communication channels and safety protocols, she helped ensure learning continued without disruption, turning a potentially destabilizing moment into one that grounded itself in purpose and stability. And Jen was nominated for this and chosen through their board process and recognized, as I said, on May 21st for the Leading Through Change Award. And we just wanted to recognize you in front of everybody else. So thank you so much for all of your efforts.
So I believe that's all for the recognitions for the evening. Is that correct?
That's all I've had.
Okay. Someone mind just turning the mic off at the podium? Okay, so that brings us to agenda item number 6, which is to receive and potentially vote on the field trip request to attend New Balance Outdoor Track High School Nationals at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Thank you. I'm just here and I got 3 different agenda items here, but the first one is track nationals. We have 2 young men who both qualified. They're both nationally ranked. And the nationals are this weekend, June 18th through the 21st at the University of Pennsylvania. And we're just looking for permission to go. Coach Carolyn Court would be chaperoning them. It is a long trip, so they would have 2 nights overnight, just so that kids can compete and have success. They're going to leave on January 19th, early in the morning, head down, spend the night in New Jersey, and then get up the next day, head over to nationals at the University of Pennsylvania, compete, and then once they're done, which is roughly about 4:30, head back home. It's a long drive, so Carolyn's asking to stop that night in Connecticut and then travel home the next day. Without Carolyn doing this, these 2 young men probably will not attend this event. It's a great opportunity for both of them to get some national exposure for their talents, both as a race walker and a triple jumper.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Member Bowden?
Not a question, but I'd like to make the motion to approve the field trip to the New Balance Outdoor Track Nationals in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Before we vote, any further comments, questions, anything? Okay, I'll need a reminder, I believe, are we starting voting with, yes, Member Jensen this time? So if you could call the roll, starting with at large.
I need a cheat sheet. Yeah, I can't see half of them, but I know who they are. Member Jensen.
Yes.
Member McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Harriman.
Yes.
Member Hurd.
Yes.
Member Harper.
Yes.
Member Eames.
Yes.
And Member Bowden.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, did pass unanimously.
Motion passes 7-0.
Yeah, thank you. So that brings us to agenda item number 7, to receive and potentially vote on the field trip request for the boys basketball team to attend the Wally Seaver Invitational Tournament in Foxborough and Stoughton, Mass.
All right, so this is an event that happens at the end of July, July 25th and 26th. We were invited through Coach Physic Connections that he has down in the Massachusetts, Boston area. It's a chance for our younger kids, mainly our freshmen who are coming in to go compete in a regional tournament this summer. So he's looking for permission to go down to it. We are not spending the night in this trip. He'll drive down on the 25th. They'll compete, drive home, drive back on the 26th and drive home. There are some parents that are making arrangements to stay in a hotel with their own child that day, but the rest of them would come there and back. And we're just looking permission to travel out of the state and compete in this tournament.
Thank you. Any questions about this one? Member Hurd?
I have no questions, but I'd like to make a motion to approve the boys basketball team to attend the Wally Seaver International Tournament in Massachusetts.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any further questions or comments on this one? Okay, go ahead and call the roll.
Member Jensen.
Yes.
Member McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Harriman.
Yes.
Member Hurd.
Yes.
Member Harper.
Yes.
Member Eames.
Yes.
And Member Bowden.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Again, thank you.
Thank you very much. And that brings us to agenda item number 8, which is to receive and potentially vote on the field trip request for the boys basketball team to attend basketball camp at East Stroudsburg University in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania.
So again, this is another request for basketball camp, team camp. This is for our varsity players. It is June 25th through the 27th. It's the same weekend that you approved the girls to go to Michigan. So it's a little more dicey trip trying to get everything arranged, but the boys would travel on June 25th. There's a little camp thing at that night. Then the full camp is the next day on the 26th. They'd get up in the next morning, compete again. There's a round robin tournament at the end of it based on how they do. They'll head home after the tournament. Again, all the team members would stay on campus in dorms. We have 2 coaches joining them. It's Elgin Physic and Trevor Irish. They'll be down there with them the entire time, supervising them. And transportation is the only real expense here. We would rent a van because we're just out of vans at this point with the other trips. And then we're going to use an LRTC van for the other van, travel down and travel back. And we're just looking for permission to do this.
Any questions or comments? Member Bowden?
Thanks. So before I make the motion, I just want to say, like I say, every time one of these comes up, I think it's a great opportunity. I think it's awesome to take kids who maybe haven't been out of state, who've never been on a college campus to go. They get to compete, stay in the dorm, get a taste for it, and hopefully it motivates them when they come back. So I'd like to make the motion to approve the field trip for the boys to go down to basketball camp at East Stroudsburg University.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded. Are there any further comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, go ahead and call the roll.
Member Jensen.
Yes.
Member McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Harriman.
Yes.
Member Hurd.
Yes.
Member Harper.
Yes.
Member Eames.
Yes.
And Member Bowden.
That's a yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. I'm just going to steal a little time to promote the varsity softball team. They made the regional championship. Super excited for the girls. It's been a long time since we've been in a regional championship. I think the last time was 2002. So the girls play tomorrow, 7 p.m. over at CM, and got nothing to do. We'd love to see you all there supporting the Blue Devils. So just thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here. So that brings us to agenda item number 9, to receive access for ELL's English proficiency assessment results for 2026.
Hello again. I'm here to share our results from the annual access assessment that our multilingual learners have the opportunity to participate in each year. There is a handout in your packet if you want more information. I think Jake's going to present it as well. But just a little background for those of you who are not familiar. WIDA Access is a required assessment for all multilingual learners. Once they're identified, they're required to take it annually until they exit the program. There is exit criteria that's set by the Maine Department of Education. So that's a 4.5 for students who take the WIDA Access. And then there's also an alternate access, which is for students with the most significant cognitive disabilities. So it's appropriate for a student of that profile. There's a few different versions of it. There's a paper version, a computer version, a kindergarten version, but it's all required by the state that we are required by federal law, and the state identifies what assessment that we take. It evaluates reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So they get domain scores in all of those 4 areas, as well as the composite score. And the composite score is what they have to hit a certain number in order to become former multilingual learners. So as you can see, this year we're super excited to share that 143 of our students are exiting multilingual learner status at the end of the school year, and they will become former multilingual learners. That's up from 118 students the year prior. One piece that I'd really like to highlight is that of the 143, 5 of those students are alternate access, so students with most significant cognitive disabilities, and several of those students come from our CLIMB program, which is incredible. Our exit rate, as you can see in the handout, is up an entire percentage point, where our exit rate is 7.6% this year, which is the highest it's been in a very long time, if not ever. I don't have the data going all the way back, but it's continuing to increase, which is showing success of our program. We don't have the state's average yet for this year, but we're hoping to continue to move closer to that state average. But it is important to know that, you know, we're being compared to districts who have as little as 1 multilingual learner when it comes to exit rate. So we try to compare to more similar districts as well once that data comes out to make sure that we're continuing to move in the right direction. At the bottom, this chart is really interesting because it shows the number of students who are exiting at each grade level. Last year, we were a bit concerned about our middle school numbers, grades 7 and 8 or 6, 7, and 8 specifically, because they were a bit lower than the rest of the district. I had shared last year that is not unique to Lewiston. That is similar with WIDA's data nationwide. But we did a lot of really targeted support this year. We incorporated some reading interventions with some of our newcomers at the middle school. We've also done a lot of work with teachers on improving SIOP, as well as implementation of the English language development curricula. And those numbers speak for themselves. If you look at grades 7 and 8, the green is this current year, so there's a huge increase there, as well as an increase in kindergarten, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 10th grade, which is amazing. We're really excited. We still have a lot of analysis to do on these numbers, especially when the state releases the statewide information. But looking at this as a kind of a first review is really positive.
Thank you. Any questions for the director? Yeah, Member Harper.
No questions, just it's really exciting. So it's really awesome to see this report, and thank you for your work and everyone who's in the ML teachers and coaches.
I did have a question about this. Do you track the average length of time it takes a student to enter and then exit? I'm curious about that generally, but I'm also curious, to have that number exiting from kindergarten. It makes me think that was a quick turnaround, I guess. So I'm just curious if you track that generally.
Yeah, so on average, students typically exit within 5 or 6 years of entering the program. That's why you see a lot of students exiting at that fourth and fifth grade, because it tends to be their fifth or sixth year with us in the program. And again, that's not unique to Lewiston. That's nationwide data also supports that. The kindergarten numbers were really interesting. I think we've done a lot of work with our professional development on focusing on just improving some of the domain scores, especially the oral language, and really making the learning more appropriate to our early learners. We've also improved some of our pre-K support and service over the past few years. So I'd like to think that that's attributing it to that. But I do think the other variable is the fact that we have many families who have been in Lewiston for multi-generations at this point. So while they may be multilingual, their primary language may be English, but they speak another language as well. And so with that, they're identified upon registration based on the screening, but with a little bit of support in that English language development, it may be making the difference, which is allowing them to exit earlier.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Member Heard?
I don't necessarily have a question, but while we're on the topic of language, we've seen a lot of kids tonight who get like biliteracy, and we have all these students graduating from our ML. And I would love to see, we know that students are more apt to learn a second language as they're younger instead of like giving kids Spanish, French, whatever when they're in high school. And I would love to see our district maybe look at, we always talk about doing school differently and how we get different credits for our students, but like maybe offering our high school students an opportunity to come into our elementary schools and teach those languages to our students. And I can probably imagine that some of our ML students and students who speak multiple languages and how that would feel to be able to help their peers for once instead of having their peers always help them. So I'm hoping that maybe that's something we can look at, because I know I would find it beneficial for my young kiddos to know, at least some basic words, phrases, sentences in another language. So I don't know if that's something we can look at, but just something I was thinking of.
Great. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Member Eames, I saw a hand.
It was just a quick question. The empty sets there are just, there are no students of that age taking the test, or were they lost exams or what?
What grade level are you asking about?
Well, there's some blanks.
If there's blanks, then that means that
There just weren't any.
there weren't any students.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
Yep.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Other than
Thank you,
congratulations.
Yes.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, that does bring us then to agenda item number 10, which is to review and potentially vote on the first read of the following policies: student attendance and family and medical leave.
Mr. Chair, could we move up agenda items 19 and 20?
Seeing that those are executive sessions, I would prefer to hold those until the end of the meeting, but would you like to speak to your suggestion there?
Yeah, I mean, as someone who's been in school for a long day, I think we should just let our employees get home, and the rest of this is mostly just us. So I think we can just let them do this and then get out of here.
I would say my preference would be to stick with the agenda as written, but I'm certainly open to how other committee members feel about that. Any suggestions, feelings, comments, anything? Yeah, Member Harper and then Member Bowden.
I would be fine moving that up as long as, yeah, I would be fine moving that up.
Sorry, no, I was gonna say, I would like to stick to the agenda as listed because that's how we put it out to the public, and there's a lot of talk about transparency and doing what we're supposed to do. So, I wouldn't be in favor of moving those up.
So I would like to stick with the agenda as is. I know maybe there's kind of differing opinions here. It's certainly, this is something you could move to change the agenda if you would like to go in that direction. But my preference would be to just continue and get through to that item where it is.
Move to override your decision.
Is there a second? Let's just wait if there's a second before, then we can take it in order. Is there a second for that?
I would second.
Okay. Member Hurd, you had a comment?
I have a question. In order to change the agenda item, whatever, however, do we have to suspend the rules or no?
You certainly would need to suspend the rules to add an agenda item. I'm not sure if you need to technically suspend the rules to move an agenda item. I think, honestly, just for simplicity, I think we can just vote on the chair's decision in this case. I think the motion Member Jensen made was just to, as he phrased it, override that decision of just keeping the agenda as is. And I think that's a clear enough motion in my opinion. Any comments or questions about this, or should we go ahead and vote?
Can you just clarify what we're voting on before we vote?
So let's just, the way that Member Jensen phrased it was to override this particular decision, and you can correct me if I'm wrong about any of this. So that would mean, in this case, to vote for the motion would mean that you do want to move agenda items number 19 and 20 to right now, in which case we'll enter an executive session, clear the room, except for those involved with that agenda item, and then we'll proceed with that agenda item, and then return and finish out the rest of the agenda. So that would be the yes vote on that motion, and a no would be to just continue with the agenda as is. Member Jensen, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, 100% correct. I think we should just support our teachers. They've had a long day. It's been a long year. Let's just get this done early so they can go home and we can do the rest of our business. It seems the most teacher-friendly thing for us to do.
Okay, so it was moved by Member Jensen, seconded by Member Harper. Any clarification needed on the vote here? Okay, could you go ahead and just call a roll here?
I made a list and I can't find it. Member Jensen,
Yes.
Member McLaughlin,
No.
Counselor Harriman,
No.
Member Hurd,
No.
Member Harper,
Yes.
Member Eames,
Nope.
Member Bowden.
No.
Motion fails 2-5.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to proceed as speedily as we reasonably can through the agenda here. So to restate, we're on agenda item number 10 to review and potentially vote on the first read of the following policies: student attendance and family and medical leave. So I believe you're going to speak to those. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So policy A, that's listed JE student attendance, that is a policy that would combine two other policies around attendance that are in our policy manual and allow us to get that down to one. It was actually recommended by a group of our administrators and district staff around that have been working on attendance to make that into one. And it's also a sample that we received from Maine School Management. So we're not really changing anything about student attendance. We're just putting all of that information into one policy. So if this was approved first read and then second read at a future meeting, we would then come back and ask to delete those other two policies, just to be clear. And then policy B is GBN, family and medical leave. And there's only one additional piece of information that as a district from the HR department, we asked they have asked us to add to the policy to just clarify some pieces. So that you'll see that in the red line policy in your packet. Elizabeth, did you have anything from the committee?
I didn't have anything to add to that. Thank you.
Any questions or comments on these policies? Member Bowden?
Yeah, I'd just like to make a motion to approve the first read of the items listed under A and B on agenda item 10.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded. I just wanted to ask to clarify on the attendance policy. So there isn't necessarily anything substantively new that we're directing staff to do or anything. Okay. And then on the on the family medical leave, there isn't anything else that needs to be added or revised based on the new main law going into effect. Okay.
No, good question. We did have that conversation at our committee meeting. This is really around the FMLA and not the PFMLA, which is the new piece that has come out. They are two separate things covered by different policies or rules.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments or questions before we vote? Okay, you can go ahead and call the roll, please.
Member Jensen,
Yes.
Member McLaughlin,
Yes.
Counselor Harriman,
Yes.
Member Hurd,
Yes.
Member Harper,
Yes.
Member Eames,
Yes.
and Member Bowden.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. So that brings us to agenda item number 11, to review and potentially vote on the second read of the following policies, A through B. Use of credit cards, temperature stands for schools, and student use of cell phones. Do you want to speak to this first, and then I can go to members?
So policy A, which is the use of credit cards, there was no changes made to that one. That's a second read, and it stands as it did at our first meeting. Policy EBBD, the temperature standards for schools, we did take the feedback given to us at the last meeting, and the policy committee did some additional research and did make some significant adjustments to that policy within the same vein of what is expected of us in the law, but hopefully meets the needs of what folks were looking for. And then student use of cell phones and other personal electronic devices in schools, again, took the feedback from the committee and the public and made some additional adjustments to those policies as well, specifically around those areas that we had talked about.
Thank you. Member Hurd, you had a hand up?
Yeah, so I just wanted a clarification. So I appreciate the changes that were made. So we're talking about like a comfort zone now. And so if it gets above those, before the policy before was very kind of like black and white. Like if it gets above this temperature, this is what's going to happen, or if it get, whatever. So I'm just looking for some clarification because this one seems I don't want to say vague, but a little bit more vague than the previous one. So I just want to know what, where we're at.
So one of the things we did as a committee was we looked at some other options in terms of what other districts were using. And a lot of the feedback that we received was that, especially from staff, was that the range between 65 and 60 and 90 was too broad. So looking at some other options, we went to because let me just remind folks that the law that was put into place only requires us to set a minimum and a maximum temperature, that will adopt a policy that will do that and have ways of supporting that. So the rest of that is sort of up to us and how we wanted to go about that. So we had that wide range and then looked at some other ways in which we might be able to address the concerns of what is comfortable to learn in, but then also acknowledging the limitations of our different buildings, because we know that we can't put out a list of all the things we're going to do, like turn on the air conditioning, for example, because not all of our schools have that. So and please, committee members, chime in, but I think we felt like this addressed both of those things. It made that window a little bit smaller and then also allowed us to state what those limitations are. I did want to bring one other up. Did I answer your question, Member Hurd?
Yeah, so I just, I feel like, and maybe there wasn't, because I don't see anything crossed out in here, but I feel like the previous policy was like, if we hit 90 degrees, then
Approaching.
Yeah, and I don't know, and maybe I just interpreted it a little bit differently, but I just want to make sure like 65 to 75, like I guarantee you if you go to my house right now, my house is definitely above 75 degrees. And we're all comfortable and we're fine. And so again, while I do feel like it is difficult, I'm sure kids, it's hard to learn in those types of conditions. And my kids, lay on the couch and pretend they're melting. So I agree, but I just want to make sure that, we're I want to protect our students, but I also want to protect the district. Like I'm supposed to wear both of those hats when I sit up here. And so I just want to make sure that our students are obviously and our staff are obviously supported, but also like us as a district, if it does get above 75, it's not going to be like, oh, it's 78 degrees in here. You said that this, according to our policy, this is what's supposed to happen. So I just want to make sure that we're all things are covered.
Do I see another? And okay.
I did want to
Yes.
just add, sorry, I didn't. Speak over you. We did get some additional feedback since we put this red line version out that we're looking at tonight around the deletion of the sentence that says if temperature thresholds are approached or reached, staff should inform building administration. That was removed from the policy because that wasn't in the sample that we had looked at and agreed upon. But we had received some feedback from staff or the association feeling like that was important to be clear that that administration should be notified that if they have that concern that temperature has been reached. So if the committee wanted to move forward with putting that back in, you could make the motion to include that as part of the second read.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that.
And I think what's been happening is people are calling their association reps and they're like, you need to tell admin and not me.
Okay. So I do want to mention we've mostly talked about the temperature standards so far. Are there any other comments or questions about that one? We can also open it up to the other policies, just to be clear that there are 3 under discussion here. So, Member Bowden?
I guess I would just like to ask if we could separate the cell phone one from this cluster and vote on it separately, please.
Sure. So we could take use of credit cards and temperature standards for schools first, if that is the suggestion. I think that is fine. Is there any public comment on these first 2? So the policies on use of credit cards or temperature standards for schools? Any public comment on those items?
I agree with what Karen said. He's the building administrator.
Okay.
So do you mind if I just repeat?
Yes.
So Jay is vice president of the LEA, but she also had knee surgery. So she just wants to back the idea of adding that line back in where administration is notified.
Yes. Thank you for that. Okay. Any further questions or comments on just those 2 policies before we vote on them?
You have a motion.
We don't have
The
a motion
second
yet,
read,
but,
then we need to, that needs to get put. Sorry.
Can you restate that, Member Reeves?
This is the second read, therefore, if we want to put some language in, we need to make a motion.
Yes, I thought we do need a motion regardless.
Yeah,
to vote,
and so-
and yes.
But we can't vote on it until we get it to the final stage. It sounds like the final stage is adding those words.
If we want that.
Yeah, so we
The
need to
motion to
make a
include
motion. Yes,
that
that's
edit.
what I'm saying.
Yes.
Okay. So is there a motion anyone would like to make on these 2 policies? Member Bowden?
Yeah, I will make the motion to approve the second read of policy DC and EBBD.
And would you like to include that amendment that was just discussed about including the sentence, if temperature thresholds are approached or reached, staff should inform building administration?
I mean, I guess I'm not clear as to why it was removed, so I don't.
So at least my takeaway from it was in our policies, we don't tell people that they have to go tell admin for all kinds of things.
Okay,
And so it was like an anomaly to do it in this, but not in other places, but then people were reporting things to others, so it created confusion.
Okay, so I would not like to add that sentence and I'll leave it as is.
I'll second that.
Okay. So we do have a motion and a second, not including that amendment that was just discussed. I would say I would rather include it, me personally. That is what I'm understanding seemed to be kind of the consensus among both administration and the association in this case. That would be my preference, but yes, Member Hurd.
So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like it may be an association that's looking to suggest this, not necessarily administration, because it sounds like some of our administration are saying that not all of our policies include that. And so it's kind of, why would we include it in some and not others? So I don't know if it's correct to say certain admin or, I mean, again, Jake, correct me if I'm wrong, but
If you look at it from the consistency lens, it doesn't live everywhere. But if you look at it from it wouldn't be problematic if people reported this to administration, is what we would want them to do anyway. So it's more procedural.
But I'm sorry, there is a motion on the table in a second, so I think we should vote.
Yeah, Councilor Herman, do you have a comment?
Could we, I understand the issue of having our policies be somewhat consistent. Could we sort of send out a communication to people instead of changing the policy and just say, just to remind them, if the temperature standards are out of range, then you need to notify building administration?
Yeah, that could be done.
Okay, that strikes me as reasonable then. Any other comments or questions before we take the vote on this? Member Harper.
Yeah, I just want to, as part of the policy committee, I just wanted to say that my recollection of the discussion was that, we found this other policy that's been adopted in other districts, and it just seemed like a good way to satisfy what staff were looking for and also meet the state law directive to adopt a temperature minimum and max. So I also, I trust admins read that it's not everywhere. It seems also maybe like a little bit of a unique thing where like maybe one classroom is like getting warmer than others in the building, or like one wing, or I don't know, versus like, all the other kinds of policies that are out there. So it may be a unique kind of policy, but I know I maybe defer to Karen, who has all the policy in her head.
You're accurate. Doesn't particularly state it in other places, but as Jake said, it could, we could do it either way. But it's not specifically or explicitly stated in other policies.
Okay, let's go ahead and call the roll, I would say. Superintendent, would you mind?
Member Jensen?
No.
Member McLaughlin?
Yes.
Member, Councilor Harriman?
Yes.
Member Hurd?
Yes.
Member Harper?
No.
Member Ames?
Yes.
Member Bowden?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-2.
Okay, thank you. So let's move on then to the third policy on here, which is the student use of cell phones and other personal electronic devices in schools. So we already, I think, have brought this up before, so I think just can go straight to if members have any comments or questions at this point. Councilor Herman.
I did just have a question about, so this is for students, and then I assume there isn't a similar policy for staff, but that they should model this behavior, to help students out, as far as, not using their personal devices during school time as well. Is that the thought, or do we have a similar policy for staff? Or, I mean, I understand that they're different groups of people and with different needs, so I assume they'll just try to model good behavior.
We do have language and expectations about not living on your phone as an educator. But this policy is about students only.
Member Ames, did you want to speak to that?
Because the law is about students only.
Any other comments or questions on this one currently? Did you have a hand raised, Member Harper?
Yeah, and apparently my mic was on, sorry. Yeah, just that when the policy committee discussed feedback that we had at this meeting and also that we got in email after the first read, I believe the only things that we edited were from the last read were the cross out of the carry/wear, and we added a sentence that said, in the event of a family emergency, the parents may contact the office of the main office of the student's school. Just to kind of clarify both, it's already clarified what the school is doing to communicate to parents, so we just wanted to add that in there for parents as well. There's a lot, I think, that, I would like to say about the research that has been done on the importance or in the effectiveness of taking away the distraction of cell phones in schools. And also, we've received some feedback from staff talking about, the sort of importance of having students not being able to access the phone in the middle of the day because it's just unenforceable and it contributes to health and safety issues for students. But, it's also a state law that we have to comply by. So it seemed like, those were some of the rationale for making some of those changes.
Thank you. Member Bowden?
Thank you. So I know it's state law, but I just can't vote in favor of this. I can't do it as the parent of two students who have been through Lewiston Public Schools and particularly the high school. I just can't approve this, and I'm so sorry to all of our teachers and staff who have to police this. So that's all I'm gonna say.
Member Hurd?
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. I cannot support this again, even though it is state law. And I think for me, my number one reason is for our staff. Like we are asking them to wear so many hats, and we're asking them to parent these children, and that's not their job. Their job is to teach and to educate. And I understand cell phones do cause some distractions and prevent our staff from doing that from time to time. But I just see this as completely unnecessary. And I'm wondering, as a district, what are we going to do when students come and say to us, well, one staff is doing this and another staff is doing this, and this isn't equitable and this isn't this? Like, then we're looking at a whole nother can of worms that we're opening up for a district. And I'm just so sick of the micromanage that I just really can't support this.
Member Jensen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My campaigning last year, I heard pretty overwhelmingly from educators in the district that they want a strict cell phone ban. They want it consistent too, so that they not have to, set themselves up to be either the good guy or the bad guy. So based on what I've heard, this is what they've asked for. At the end of the day, I think it's kind of on parents. Stop giving your kids smartphones if they're not mature enough to handle them in school. It's as simple as that.
Is there any public comment on this item? Okay, back to the committee. Any further comment? I will say, for my own opinion, I do support this. Similar to what Member Jensen said, I think it's best to have a strict universal policy, so it's really not up to the staff in terms of how they choose to allow or not cell phones during the school day and during their class time. So that's my opinion on this. I think, as I shared last time, I think I'm willing to try this as is and see how still allowing the phones to just kind of be with the student as normal, if that causes any issues. But I think as is for the time being, I think this is appropriate. So I'll be supporting it. So if there are no further comments, is there a motion on this item? Counselor Harriman?
Yes, I would make a motion to approve policy JICJ as is.
Second.
Okay, moved by Counselor Harriman, seconded by Member Jensen. If you could go ahead and call the roll.
Member Jensen,
Yes.
Member McLaughlin,
Yes.
Counselor Harriman,
Yes.
Member Hurd,
No.
Member Harper,
Yes.
Member Eames,
Yes.
and Member Bowden.
No.
Motion passes 5-2.
Okay, thank you. So that brings us to agenda item number 12, which is to discuss and potentially vote on school committee goals. Do you want to start this one, Superintendent Langus?
Yes, I can start this just a second. I'm going to put the draft goals up. And so just a bit of history in as we discuss this, the committee has had some goals that were existing prior to the last set of elections in November. A little bit more work was done with feedback, and so I think we had some core concepts. But then when the new committee was seated, there was discussion about creating a new set of goals that would be more reflective of the current body. And so we started that work. Budget dragged it a little bit. But we recently had a workshop where we narrowed the scope of goals to the items that you have here in the text, and some indicators of success. And then also remember that there was some thinking that what the committee decided on for goals would help anchor and create themes for future meetings so that we could talk about how do we get to these places, what should we measure, those kinds of components. And just as a reminder that this is a guide for the work that you do. And if adopted or some version of the variation of this, it will guide the work that I do with our administrative team as we look at things like budgets and appropriations and strategic thinking. So we did go through this at pretty good detail based on your feedback. And each item, there's key areas: safety, student, parent, community engagement, approach to education, and academic success. And under each of these, you can see the proposed goal text and potential indicator of success.
Thank you. And just to add to that, the hope is that we would actually vote to adopt goals this evening. And hopefully this reflects the discussions that we've had over these past few months. So any comments, thoughts, edits, suggestions from members? I saw Member Bowden first and then Member Eames.
Thank you. So under our school safety goal, the indicator of success is a reduction in the number of behavior incidents requiring an office referral. I don't mean to be pessimistic. I'm just a little worried that maybe things aren't going to get reported because they're looking to try to like improve or hit this indicator. I don't know what sort of are we giving the schools like a measure to go by? Are we giving them a goal because this is our goal? I just want to make sure that things aren't swept under the rug. I don't know how else to like articulate what I'm trying to say. You understand though? Okay.
I do. I think it's a fair question. And we've seen this in the past with things like we're going to graduate 100% of students and putting pressure on educators to pass kids to get to a goal. So there's always that working theory of how a stated goal that's been approved will impact and influence people. I think from my lens, as I look at this, it's about the work that we would do. So if the school committee agrees that that is a goal, there could be other indicators of success, but also that it's the school committee's goal, and we would bring this up to remind you as part of the work that we do. So as you plan for things, you would say, I want to know more about the office referrals. I want to know what's being written up at what frequency, things like we could look at historical data or current data too. But then you have a pulse on it and you're examining it more closely. and we can proactively try to get in front of some of the challenges that we have with what ideas do we have, what things might we be able to support cost neutral or with cost to mitigate anything negative in that line. So I said more than probably what you asked, but I think you're right that no matter what the school committee adopts as a goal, people will want to. I think there's an inherent nature from our professionals to want to achieve that. And so could it lead to some data slide or approach differences? Yes, it could.
If I could just add a thought as well, I think there is some advantage in that we did move away from the framing of saying that we want to hit this percent, and directing that out, which I will fully admit that was more my thinking originally, but that could lead more to the kind of problem you're talking about, where this isn't saying if you don't reduce it this percent or else, it's saying this is what we want to achieve. But I hope it's clear to everyone, us, staff, everyone, that we don't want to be hitting this. There's no advantage to hit this by not reporting. Like that doesn't benefit anyone. So that's the thought.
So I just want to add, I have had conversations with teachers in the district, and I have heard things before about like incentives to the less reporting that we have to the office, or the less write-ups, or however that works in a school. There could be some advantages to it, maybe a pizza party or like whatever it is. I'm just, that's not a specific example. I'm just saying there have been incentives to cut down on those numbers. And so as a result, I have heard about things like just not being reported. So I don't want us to be the reason why things aren't being reported. So that's where I'm trying to go with this.
Member Eames, I saw your hand next.
I just had this one suggestion that adding an R on safe, so it's a safer learning environment, makes it safer for us, because right now it seems like we aren't safe right now. And I think safer makes it a little better. That would be my suggestion, just add an R on safe.
Thanks. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Well, yeah, when we get to a motion, then we can add that. Yeah, Member Hurd.
Thank you. So I think this is great because I think this is kind of what we like focused on a lot when we had our retreat. I don't know what it was called technically, but I do think that reducing disruptive and violence behavior in our schools to create a safer learning environment for students to work in, and then indicator of success. But I also think that we know that there are instances where it's not just our students that are having like disruptive behaviors in the classroom. There are outside students who are not actually participating in school that are entering our buildings and then causing disruptive behavior that wouldn't normally happen if they weren't being let in, or they weren't granted access into our buildings. And so I don't know if there's an indicator of success for that one, but I do think it's something to consider because unfortunately it is something that it's a reality. It's something that is unfortunately happening in our school days. And so I'm not saying that we're not thinking about it and that you're not thinking about it and it's not something that you're keeping an eye on. I'm just saying, like those types of things aren't going to get office referrals. Those sort of incidents, those students are not going to be referred to the office. So I just want to make sure that there are other indicators or way that we're tracking the success of keeping our students in our school safe outside of just office referrals and those types of things.
Yeah, that's a good point. Member Eames.
It does say in our schools, it doesn't say by our students. So it could actually might cover it.
In terms of the goal statement itself.
Yeah, the goal
right?
statement is clear. It's about what's happening inside our buildings. We're on our property. It's not about who's doing it. It's not about whether someone crossed the boundary and came in and did something disruptive. It's clear that it's about behavior inside our space. Doesn't say by who.
Yeah.
I think it was a excellent point made. I do think the committee at some point in time, once you decide on strategies to go after these things, you could add indicators of success. I will say students who are disruptive in our community which you have seen in disciplinary hearings for things that students have been expelled for that have not happened in our schools or on our school grounds, they do disrupt the learning environment. And I don't know if this captures it enough by saying safer learning environment, because that is disruptive to the learning environment, even when it happens off of school grounds. But I think it's a good indicator to think about.
Number 10.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, looking at the school safety section, I feel like we could maybe add another indicator of success related to staff safety. Because right now the only indicator it kind of implies the student, referrals to the office rather than incidents of staff members being injured, which does happen in the district. So I'd like to see something added there.
Would that be your suggestion is, how'd you phrase it? Like injuries?
Yeah, like a reduction in staff injuries caused by students.
Yeah, I mean, that certainly seems pretty important to me. Yeah, I agree with that. Any other comments on this document? Any public comment on these goals? Okay, yes, Member Harper.
Would it be fair to say, like, if you're talking about staff injury, there's probably other ways that staff could get injured that aren't caused by students? Would it be like, I mean, I know that's kind of, I know we're talking about violence and disruptive behavior in the goal text. So maybe it's been broadening it too much, but I was just thinking like of, expanding it.
Our high workers' comp.
Yeah, exactly. If we have high workers' comp, like.
We do track to an extent injuries to staff caused by students. I guess under this, it would be under the umbrella of injuries caused by students that were not safe. Because there's also just incidentals, workman's comp things, and those are real. But I don't know that they land under school safety, that someone tripped outside when they were looking after the kids, versus I think we want all that to go down. I just don't know if we'd be addressing it the right way if we're talking about school safety. Does that make sense? It crosses over, but I feel like this, we're talking about a reduction in student behaviors that cause things.
Member Heard.
Thank you. When I was looking over the document, I wrote this down, but under academic success, I was wondering, and I don't know if we've ever gotten this before, but I would love to figure out the amount of students that graduate from our LRTC program with a certificate of some sort. So whether it's electrical, plumbing, and I don't know that we've ever, in all the years, I say in all the years, I feel like I've been here a long time, but that we've ever gotten around graduation time or something about how many of our students are going out into the workforce with something.
Yeah, we have that and have to report that. So that's something that Director Callahan could easily bring.
Member Heard, is that something you would like to see added specifically as?
Well, it just made me think of it because it said indicator of success, growth in numbers of students applying to post-secondary colleges and workforce training. So it just made me think of that is also another way to measure success, is how many of our students are, graduating with certificates or some sort of certification or something, like leaving Lewiston Public Schools with something that they can actually take out into that physical world and say I can start working because I have this or whatnot.
Yeah, that's true. So instead of just applying to future programs, have they already completed some programs in their time here? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, Member Bone.
I just want to add to that though, we can't clump that together with graduation, on pace to graduate, because a lot of the LRT, well, not a lot of them, but there's pretty half and half with LRTC kids that actually go to Lewiston High School. So they wouldn't, yes, they get a certificate, right? But they're not necessarily walking across our stage and adding to our statistics as far as our graduation rate. So yeah, that's all.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that could still be worked into its own thing in a way, right? I mean, just how many are getting that certification?
So yes, my real easy answer is yes. And because we are a regional center, all those kids who go to other schools are still our kids. And so it could be captured in that sense.
Okay, so I have heard a couple amendments, right? Safer instead of safe, staff injuries, and certificates, right? Those are the three things I heard for tweaks of the document before approving it. Would members be comfortable moving it forward with understanding that those amendments can happen? Okay. Any other comments, or is there a motion? Member Jensen?
Just a comment for at the very top, it says 2026 to 2029. Is this something that can be reviewed and possibly amended each year? Because if someone's like running for office to the school committee this year, I don't think that they should be locked into what we decide this year.
Yeah, I would say my preference would be that it is every year. It's part of the conversation. Yep. Was there another hand up?
So just clarifying, is that an edit to put this as a 1-year goal or leave it as 3, knowing you can edit? And I ask because so this sets a foundation for the work the schools will do, and it's like turning a Titanic. So we need budget cycle, grant cycle, resource allocation, those kinds of areas of focus. I know it can change. I'm thinking if this fundamentally changes dramatically every year, it's like chase a thing and then stop, chase a thing and then stop. I worry about that.
Just my initial reaction would be, I think there's still multi-year goals, but each committee will look at them and work on them and work with them. And at the end of the day, this is something based on the majority vote of the committee. And certainly it's the prerogative of any future committee to do as they wish. But I think at least setting that tone that it is a multi-year goal is good to set up front. That would be my opinion. Member Bowden, you had a hand up?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I don't see anything wrong with, annually just reviewing it and taking a look because we stagger. So this committee will change every single year moving forward. So, I don't know if we have to like write out like this is from this date to this date, but we can just say like maybe every January after the new members have been sworn in that we annually review our goals and just make sure we're still all on the same page.
Yep. Member Eames?
If we just put a date on this, then it'll be clear it was this committee that did this draft.
That's true. Yeah. Just, you mean the date that we, like tonight? Yeah. Okay. Member Harper?
Okay, something I was planning to say, and then another that I, given the superintendent's comment about moving a Titanic, I felt like I had to say this other thing. The first thing is during our retreat session or whatever we did, where we talked about these goals, one of the ones that I brought forward was with some other people was around community involvement. And so number 2, the second one is the goal text is strengthen student investment in school through active engagement with parents, local businesses, and community organizations that elevate the value of attendance and academic success. And then an indicator of success is growth in parent engagement in events and community involvement. And when I read that, I was like, my initial reason for bringing it forward was really to support the schools and increase the capacity of the schools with community engagement. In general, given the nature of education funding and the way that we're always having to reduce capacity, it seems like, we have willing people in the community who want to, get into the schools to support them in different ways. And I also understand that the schools are, very, constrained in a lot of different ways with a lot of different regulations and probably, risk averse in certain ways that are very legitimate. And so was just wanting to kind of put a plug in as far as like community involvement. It's not just like in events, which was maybe one way to read that sentence. I was really hoping to just if we can figure out how to leverage the capacity of the community, if we have like folks who are getting grants in order to, support their active participation, or they want to bring in, youth to mentor younger youth, just, I don't know, just all kinds of different ways that you could have certified, background checked people supporting our schools. I would love to be able to see the capacity grow. So I don't, I don't know if that sentence needs to change, but I just wanted to say out loud that that's like what I'm hoping for with that one. And then the other one that I just wanted to mention, which I think goes along with the conversation around like limiting cell phones, but is not just that, is just maybe goes under academic success, is just age appropriate use of technology. Talking specifically about, there's so much research out there about how especially for younger kids, their brains were just not made to, adapt to iPad technology and screens, and how that is, changing their brains and making it harder for them to learn in analog ways. And I know we've had like different conversations here and there. It's kind of come up in the budget process and this and that. And I just would also, as a parent who has a 4-year-old that's going to be in the elementary school soon, I am, it's not just me. It's a lot of research and data backing up age appropriate use of technology, especially for younger kids. So I don't know if that is, I don't know exactly how to phrase that as an indicator. I hope it's not like completely coming out of left field, but it's just something that I had to say.
My suggestion to that last point, which I do generally agree with, but that strikes me maybe more as like a future agenda item related to the overall goal, but not necessarily part of. It's just it's pretty specific, right? Does that seem fair if it's something we return to related to the discussion around academic success? Or yeah, that's true. Or more approach to education, as opposed to putting specific text on this page.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold this up for it, but yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to weave it in either under academic success or approach to education, which is looking really at like hands-on, outdoor, career ready.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Member Jensen. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have a comment on that first?
I just wanted to clarify the first point that Member Harper made. If you took events out of this line, would that achieve what you're sharing? I don't know how others feel about that, but
yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay. Member Jensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to second what Member Harper was talking about related to technology. If it was up to me, we would be moving far away from the use of at least the way we use technology in the schools. Seems to be a growing movement related to that. Also, just for the committee's reference for policy ADA, school district goals and objectives, which was last reviewed on December 5th, 2022. The school committee will develop annual goals based on input solicited from a variety of sources. So we have no choice but to review these annually.
Thank you for pointing that out. Member Hurd.
Thank you. So, it's kind of a moot point at this point about the dates, but me personally, the way I look at this, and not to put all the weight on Jake's shoulders, but like as the superintendent, this is kind of like in line with your contract. So we're asking you as the school committee these are the goals that we want to see or things to work on. And then we are then tasking you in your time frame to complete those goals or try to achieve those goals or try to give us some measure of success. So I'm fine with doing it annually, but again, I think kind of the dates kind of align with the time frame. It's, we don't expect you to get this done in a year or, that kind of thing.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. The only thing I would say, it's both part of our direction to the superintendent and also to ourselves in some way. That would be my only addition to that. Were you about to say something?
yeah, I was just going to say, I think to the point earlier about the data, we don't want to skew the data with a goal, or know at least that could happen. This set of goals is not evaluative for you. It's an opportunity to reflect on those things at some point, and it's not deemed evaluative of me. To the extent that I think if you all think I'm not doing what I should be doing with them, certainly you have that authority. But it's not intended to be heavy evaluative as much as areas of focus and then how do we try to do these things, I think is a larger context.
Okay, any further comments or would there be a motion? Member Heard?
I would like to make a motion to approve. Are we doing a second read or is this just,
Yeah, it's not a policy. My understanding is we could do this in a
okay.
single vote.
I would like to make a motion to approve the school committee's proposed goals with the edits that we talked about, the safer removal of events. And there was one more.
Staff injuries with
Staff injuries and then the certifications or
Yes.
certificates.
Yes. Okay, so there's okay, seconded by Member Bowden. I might ask, Member Jensen, can I ask, were you just looking up if this is something that would take a second read? I'm sorry if not. I just saw you were pulling up that policy, so I just wanted to check.
Oh, no, I was just looking at something else. No, by everything
no
I'm
problem.
understanding, we're good to go.
Great, okay. Okay, any further comments before, yes, Member, any further public comment on this before we take our final vote? Okay, thank you for that reminder. So yeah, let's go ahead and call the roll, please.
Member Jensen,
Yes.
Member McLaughlin,
Yes.
Counselor Harriman,
Yes.
Member Heard,
Yes.
Member Harper,
Yes.
Member Eames,
Yes.
and Member Bowden.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you very much. So that brings us to agenda item number 13, the report from the school committee chair. The only thing I'll include in my chair's report is just that we have the new auditors who are starting their process. And as part of that, I guess they asked to meet with many people around the district, including the school committee chair. So I spoke with them this morning. They just wanted to pass on that they're working and available, and I do have their contact information if anybody on the committee wishes to get in touch for audit-related purposes. Just if anything comes up, but otherwise, normally they will be preparing their audit, typically prepared around the December-ish timeframe, and then we would hear from them in the new year. Member Harper, do you have a question?
I do have a question. Is this just the same kind of audit that we've been getting all along, just with different folks? Yeah.
New firm.
And it's not, it's not a forensic audit.
I don't believe it's considered a forensic audit, but someone else could maybe speak to that. It's just a general annual financial audit. It's my understanding of the terminology, but I'm not an expert in that language.
Yeah, all I know is the city does an RFP and they've signed on. Is it 3 years, Bill, or 5 years for this? 5 years, Bill said, for this particular auditing firm, who Adam's actually worked with in the past and likes their process.
And we're subject to an annual audit. And so they do tests on different grants and things to see where things are going. But as far as a forensic type audit, I don't think that's the type of terms that we're using with it, but it is a pretty thorough audit.
Any other questions about that? Okay, I will leave it there for my report. So that brings us to agenda item number 14, report from the school superintendent.
So just a couple of things. One, we haven't seen each other in session since graduation, which was seemingly a wonderful night, and what a great class to celebrate all they did. I took a picture at the end with everybody on the field, which made me a little nervous because I knew that had to be cleaned up, but it did go well. And Principal Radke reported to me that the overnight events and whatnot, everything went good. And so that was a big one. We had been sharing some videos of students that are part of that graduating class. We do have a couple more that will be coming out just to share a bit of their story as now alumni. On July 13th, we're scheduled to meet. I have family travel. And I think there was an opportunity to try to look at, and Chair McLaughlin, tell me if you want to chime in here, but to look at maybe moving the date to a different date, which would help me be available. Otherwise, I'd have to do it via Zoom probably in an airport. But also, typical summer meetings are personnel only, what we have found over the years, at least from my perspective, there's always a grant that needs to be covered. There's always like things that we need to add to this personnel only agenda items or agenda. So I don't know if you want to chime in about what the committee senses of moving from the 13th to the 27th and likely having items we need to review beyond personnel matters or personnel items.
Sure. Yeah, I was going to bring this up under agenda items, but that frankly, yes, I think we have a lot of agenda items that, the budget process kind of carried on for a bit. And we have a decent amount to get through. It does say, in our listed annually approved schedule, typically the July and August meetings just say personnel only. But it says that it's certainly in our power to do more than that. It's not by policy that it's restricted to that. It's just kind of traditionally, well, I say traditionally, but actually both previous years we've had to have regular items during those meetings. So, but it's kind of a twofold thing. One, we would likely need to move the July meeting to have a functional meeting given the superintendent's travel. And then also it would be best, in my opinion, to essentially make those regular meetings in terms of their agenda. So we can just use this opportunity. Do any members have comments or thoughts, issues with that? Member Hurd?
I will be gone the 25th through August, whatever that Saturday is, Saturday to Saturday, but you don't need me. So as long as you have a quorum.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that. I appreciate it. Member Bowden?
Are we required to have a meeting in the month of July?
The policy does say that we would have at least one meeting in July and August.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, it makes more sense to have like one on August 3rd and then on the 17th, like, just because usually the end of August is when school starts up, so that would seem like it would make more sense. But if we have to have one in the month of July, I can do the 27th. That's fine.
Yeah, that is an interesting question. I mean, I suppose, would there be a functional reason other than the policy, which we'd have to navigate that, but is there just a functional reason we need personnel approvals sooner?
No, because I can actually approve them pending your approval. So if people need to get going to a training or something to that effect, I have to sign off on it, but we have a metric for it. So there's a mechanism for it. So it's definitely doable. It doesn't create any undue burden, I don't think. My only question about an early August meeting would be, again, who's available, because that might be a challenge, but
Okay, so one, it sounds like logistically that it might be a little easier if we do 2 meetings in August and none in July. I would be fine with that from a process perspective. I think it's not unreasonable, I think, to just navigate scheduling despite the phrasing of the policy, but do any members have other feelings about that or any objections to if we reschedule the July meeting to the beginning of August? Member Eames?
It's in the spirit. It's 3 days into the next month. It's still in the spirit of having a periodic set of meetings. I don't think we break any major law or rule by just moving it a few days.
Yeah, there's the charter doesn't speak to
Yeah.
the timing, and I'm not sure.
I
don't imagine
think
there's
technically we're not meeting in July, though.
If it is a logistical issue, we can call a brief personnel meeting, and whoever's around, we can deal with it, and we can use our regular mechanism to add an extra meeting in August if that's how we need to do it, and if something does come up that we need to address in that time, which I think functionally that is part of the purpose, is because if we need to move through personnel issues and so on. Okay, any other thoughts on this? Yes, Member Jensen.
And maybe I don't know, I guess I'm just hesitant to just kind of throw policy to the side, to the wind, because it does clearly say the school committee will hold regular business meetings on the first and third Monday of each month from September through June. During the months of July and August, at least one regular meeting will be held each month. I just don't like us getting into a habit of just deciding this policy doesn't matter, but let's stick to this policy. And if staff members violate policy, they get written up for it. But if we violate policy, we just shrug it off. So I just really don't like that.
Did you have something to add?
I was gonna say, if you leave the 13th and do just personnel, I don't care, it's more than willing to conduct that meeting from our perspective.
Yeah, that could be a reasonable way to do it. Member Bowden, were you going to say something?
Yeah, that's why I was asking if there was like a certain policy that said we had to meet in the month of July. If it says that, then let's meet in the month of July. I'm not trying to break policy and ignore it. I just didn't know if it specifically said we had to, because if we didn't, it would have made more sense to just meet in August a couple times, but that's fine with me. And if Jake isn't here, Karen can run it. So.
Okay. So just to recap, and thank you for reading that for us. Just keep a simple personnel only meeting in July. Add an additional meeting in August so that we can actually get the regular business done. That's part of the conversation here is we do have stuff that we need to do, as well as before the beginning of the school year. So that would be the preference. Okay, so we can follow up after the meeting about specific dates in that case. So that was a bit of a detour from your update, but thank you to everyone for talking that through.
I think other things, some of this already known. I think I mentioned the softball game. If not, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock at Central Maine Community College. That's the regional final. The audit has in fact begun. Summer programming is very active, and we will have summer programs running at multiple sites. An update on the Montello water. So I think you saw the leak that was happening inside the door or hallway. And then when they tried to shut off the valve just before that leak, that valve failed. And when the city came to shut off the water outside of the building, that valve also failed. So they had to go out behind near Hannaford across the street where St. Laurent Construction was. And there's a valve somewhere in the backside of that building that feeds underground over there. So that was the one that shut things off. And then there was all these contingency questions about, does this create excess pressure? So they had to open a hydrant. It was quite an ordeal for something that was essentially a water leak. But Public Works was very, very good. They were on it, very helpful with getting that resolved in a day so we could have school the next day. But just a quick update. One other thing, and I don't think you'll mind me saying, someone who's near and dear to us, Keenan, who works with our reentry kids. He's taking some time in a great way for himself. He's going to Italy. He's going to spend some time with some folks over there that he cares about. And so it's something that I know how fond we all are of him, and just want to make sure that you're aware that he's stepping away, and that's known and it was planned. And we will miss him and hope he comes back. Just wanted to share that quick update.
Member Bowden.
Sorry. So I got an email today from Lewiston High School. And is it a different Keenan? Keenan Shields? I mean to say that out loud. Okay. So it said he's coordinating Lewiston summer school and credit recovery. Okay. So is he
he's not
not
gone
working
to-
for Roudette? Is he working for Lewiston Public Schools in this capacity?
So he is our employee in both
Oh,
of those
he is.
capacities, but
Okay.
he's not leaving until later in the summer.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so it says he's going to be doing summer school July 1st through July 29th. So I just wanted to like clarify that. I'm like, wait a minute. I literally just had to pull it up because I just read it today. So, okay. Thank you.
Okay, any questions about that? Okay. So that brings us to agenda item number 15, report from the city council representative.
Yeah, all I have to report is there's a city council meeting tomorrow evening. If you're not going to the softball game, you can have an exciting time at City Hall. 6 p.m. we have a workshop on a mobile home park lot rent stabilization ordinance, and then at 7 p.m. a regular meeting.
Thank you. Any questions about that? Okay, agenda item number 16 is updates from school committee subcommittees. Any updates from subcommittees? Okay. All right, then moving right along, number 17 is school committee community announcements. Any community announcements? Member Eames.
It was wonderful to watch adult ed graduation the other day. That was a terrific moment, very emotional.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Do you want to add something?
Just as of adult ed graduation, we had we're up to 357 graduates currently. And we have another maybe over 25 plus potentially for August if they complete their work. So just, those are some big numbers to be thinking about.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so that brings us to agenda item number 18, which is future agenda items. Yes, Member Jensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just as we're considering the goals that we are, putting forward here, I think would be wise of us to consider what policies we could potentially review and have the policy committee maybe start with that, that we could maybe help push some of those goals themselves. And I guess I would just make another plug for looking at the grading policy for the elementary level. I just finished up a long-term subbing gig in a different district, also for fourth grade. And although, I'm just not a fan of standards-based grading. I get the merit of it, but it just doesn't work in the real world, at least as far as communicating effectively with parents. The traditional system is more effective at holding kids accountable for their education and engaging parents, and I'll die on that hill every single time. But there are different ways that we could be doing it in the district. Comparing what I just did this year to last year working in district, I do feel like there's some changes we could make here at the policy level. And that's entirely on us as a committee. So again, I really hope that that's something that we can get enacted the first and second read before the start of next school year. So I just, I have been very patient. I do feel like we should have had these goals done in January before the budget. I've been very patient and waiting to push some changes or a lot of other changes I'd like to make, but this is just the one that I think is kind of my priority at the moment, that I feel can really help us engage both students and parents in the educational process, which entirely meets one of the goals we have set up here. So it's on us if we want to review the policy or not. And I think it's incumbent upon us to do so. So as an educator who works in the classroom every single day, including today, I just really, really, really implore everyone who's on this board with us to please support me in this. The other thing I'd like for us is to have a presentation and discussion on the reading levels based on the most recent F&Ps as well as the most recent NWEA math RIT scores. And I'd like to make that an annual thing, but who knows how long I'm going to be up here. Yeah, like I said, I don't really plan on running for re-election, so it'd be just good to review those every single year. And again, I've made it clear that I don't think those tests are the best measure. I'd like to see something different, but if it's the best we can do to see how our students are doing right now as far as reading levels go, like with F&Ps, like what percentage of students are reading on level, above level, below level, and just try and keep track of that every year. And I fully understand that that's not entirely up to us. It's more of a reflection of the local economy, student successes. But I do think it's incumbent on us to kind of measure that stuff. So a presentation and discussion of us on those things is something I'd like to see.
Can I just confirm on the grading policy, is that is something written in school committee policy that the policy committee would need to review first? Okay. Okay, all right. Thanks for bringing that up. Member Bowden?
Thank you. So I don't necessarily have a future agenda item, but I just want to see if we can maybe expand what future agenda items like this particular thing. Can we also have like a time to maybe bring something up that we want to discuss? Because I feel like there's a couple things that I'd love to ask about, but there's really not a spot on the agenda for me to just start asking a question to the superintendent about something. So I feel like city council does a little different too. Like when they get to isn't it just like any future business that you want to talk about? Is it like, can we kind of elaborate this agenda item so we can bring things up that aren't necessarily a future agenda item, but just is that confusing?
We can go, yeah.
Are we
But
talking
it's
about
not
like
a community announcement though.
a live,
so.
like a live Q&A?
Well, no.
Because I worry about people not having advance notice of topics coming up.
Yeah, yes and no, but no. So I'm just going to ask, if that's okay. I'm just going to ask. It was brought up over the last week, a question about graduation at the middle school. And there was a number thrown out on this many kids aren't graduating 8th grade, but we're going to move them on to the high school. So I kind of want to like give you an opportunity to clear that up, but it's not a future agenda item and it's not a community announcement and it's not any other agenda item. But like, is there something that you could like say to that? Because I was specifically asked, like, can you bring this up tonight? Sure, but I don't even know where I would bring it up. So I'm bringing it up.
So a live Q&A.
Well, here,
I think I can touch on it, but I also want to do so with caution that there's a lot of information that gets posted online that's not accurate. And so I don't want to become the clarifying filter live Q&A to things that are not factual that are out there. I was aware of that post that was made. It also alluded to this has already happened. Promotion hasn't even occurred yet. And so there was a lot of information in that that was not there. I will say from a capacity standpoint, I've always struggled with moving kids along if they haven't met the criteria that they're ready to go to high school. For better or worse, I had one of the higher retention rates when I was principal there for a few years because I did feel it was so critically important for kids to be ready to earn credits because that matters differently than eighth grade does. But to that end, we don't have the physical plant to keep 20 kids, 30 kids. But I also want you to remind you that we do offer, what we can to make sure kids are prepared if they access it. Another point to make as it relates to promotion and going from eighth grade to high school, we do have our purple team, which is designed to provide additional supports to kids as they enter high school, because we know statistically, if you fail essentially your freshman year, you have like a 93% chance, and you could check my numbers, I'm not certain it's still the same, but once upon a time, it was like a 93% chance if you earn at least half your credits your freshman year that you would not graduate. And so there are efforts in that ninth grade level. But we also have big teams. And so some of our teams at the middle school are 110, 115, 120 kids. And to think that there might be 10 or 12 kids on each team that did not earn promotion, they're also not allowed to participate if they didn't earn promotion. The only person that can waive that is Principal Bryant. But if that was the case and there's 3 eighth grade teams, you're still talking 30 to 45 plus kids that don't make it. And I can go get the number, but I can tell you that that's not uncommon. That many kids will be moved to ninth grade unprepared for success. And I know that John and his team work hard with the middle school to decide who will be on which teams at the high school, because they each have their kind of unique layers of support for different students. And so the students that need the higher levels of support, it's typically around 80 kids that you look at for the purple team grouping that has additional supports. Yeah. But it's a fair point that there's some challenges there, but lots of mistruths in that post, at least the one that was shared with me. But I really don't want to even go into that lane of trying to keep up with whatever's posted or becomes viral as part of our agenda work.
I think my thought to your broader question, I might just say that it might be appropriate just if it is something like that, a question to the superintendent, to just ask it ahead of time, and then potentially you could include it in his update. Do you want to say something on the button?
Yeah, yes, and I do. And I do reach out every single time somebody questions me on something and I don't know the answer to it, I will reach out. But the problem is the people who are asking originally, and a lot of people see it, and then it just keeps coming up because it's not being answered publicly. So I just, for transparency's sake, like future agenda items / any questions maybe, and I hate to put you on the spot, but it's not going to be every single time that we're not going to be blasting you with questions, but once in a while something happens and if it's not in your superintendent update, maybe we could ask you to just clarify in that block if everybody's okay with that.
Well, I think what has happened sometimes before is if theoretically it could be a future agenda topic if it's not clear or if it's not clarified in the moment. And that has happened previously where somebody brings up an agenda item and then the superintendent just answers it. It's not maybe technically the most proper thing in the rules of order world, but I think that is functionally somewhat what you're getting at. But no, I mean, it is a little tough. There's no perfect way about it, but was there another item that you had?
No, no. I just wanted to, I just felt like that one was like viral enough that even today I was asked about it. And so I just feel like, just Just put it out there, that's all. That way we're communicating and we're being transparent about that sort of thing. That's all.
Okay. Member Eames, you had a hand up?
Well, I was thinking about the transparency issues. The concern earlier about changing the agenda around, I voted against it because of what the public thought was going to happen. And the whole idea that we put the agenda out so the public knows what's going to be happening. And what city council does isn't okay. So I just wanted to defend the idea that we have our agenda here. If there's a question, you can try. But, and sometimes it'll work. But I think it's a future agenda item, so at the very next meeting, we can address it. I mean, that's following the rules and the policies. If we're sticking to that, then I would go that way.
Great. Any other future agenda items then? Any other future agenda items before we move on? Okay, seeing none, then agenda item number 19 is to enter into executive session to discuss negotiations in accordance with 1 MRSA, section 405D.
So moved.
Okay, I'll say moved by member Hurd, seconded by member Bowden. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, school committee is now in executive session.